I'm here. Excuse me. Okay, there we go. I'm here with Tyler Schwanke. Did I pronounce your name correctly?
Kinda. It's Schwanky.
Schwanke. Okay. Tyler Schwanke, who is the author of the book Breaking In. Tyler, welcome to the Heartland Author Podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Feel free to introduce yourself to our listeners.
Sure. So I am a writer out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. My background is in filmmaking, creative writing. I started filmmaking about 15 years ago. A lot of student films, some festivals around the country. Once I graduated college, went into production work where I would work basically for a free lunch and credit. So after about 6 months or so of doing that, I, quote unquote, got a real job, got a day job, and turned my creative outlet into novels. That's something you can do on your own, kind of in your free time, and really just fell in love with the medium. I found that a lot of my filmmaking background translated well into the novel form. I'm here to promote my first novel. Came out in May. It's called Breaking In. It's a coming of age comic caper about a film student from Fargo, North Dakota, who goes to her dream film academy in New York City that's run by her favorite director, Ricky O'Neir. And throughout the summer, they have a program where you can submit a short script, feature length script, and then a short film for a competition. At the end of the competition, whoever student's film wins, they turn that feature length script that's submitted um, into a feature. And so she submits, but the school shuts down because of fraudulent charges that are charged against Ricky O'Neir, who runs the school. 7 months later, Millie is at home in Fargo in the dead of winter. She's in a movie theater. She looks up to watch the coming attractions, and she sees her script that she wrote. Ricky O'Neir has stolen it himself, and because the way the academy is set up, he can do that legally and not give her any credit. So she advises, puts together a plan, gets her film crew, and turns them into a heist crew to steal the movie 3 days before the premiere.
Oh, that is wild. Now, if I'm understanding correctly, Blackstone Publishing is the publisher of Breaking In. Is that correct?
That is, yep. They're out of Ashland, Oregon. They started as a audiobook company, and I want to say 2015, 2017 maybe. They moved over, transitioned into printing. So they have their printing done on site in Oregon. And so, yeah, so it's available in hardcover, ebook, and audiobook.
Now, is Blackstone an independent press, or are they like a small traditional publisher or an imprint of a bigger publisher?
They are, so I don't know what the technical difference. I mean, I think they consider themselves it's an indie press, but I mean, they're a full publisher. I mean, the book is available in all bookstores, Barnes and Nobles, Amazon, independent bookstores as well. Um, and like I said, they run the gamut, the full scope. They have creative services on site. So I work with a publicist that's a Blackstone employee. The um, the marketing is in house. The cover design, all of that has been in house through Blackstone.
Now, you
But they
meant.
aren't.
Oh,
Oh,
sorry.
I'm sorry. No, that's okay. Just but they aren't like a subset or whatever of like a bigger company. They are its own company.
Okay, you mentioned in your introduction that you have a day job. What is that like?
It's great. No, um, I am a recruiter for a healthcare company. Basically, I'm a sourcing specialist, so it's kind of like a headhunter. I've been in recruiting for 12 years now. So my day job is going out to find executives and um, leadership candidates for hard to fill positions, mainly supporting in rural Minnesota.
Now, how do you balance being an author and your day job, and what is your typical writing routine like?
Yeah, so finding the balance, I'm married. I have an incredibly supportive wife. We don't have children, um, so there is plenty of time to make writing a priority. It has been for over 10 years. I write in the morning. I find that I don't do well trying to write in the afternoons or anything like that with kind of the day on my mind. So for me, it's the first thing that I do after breakfast. Get up, breakfast, and then I write for usually about 2 hours. So I write every single day, unless I'm in between projects. But so I always write for about an hour and a half to 2 hours, and then I work remote, so I work out of my home. So then basically just at 8 o'clock, I switch computers and start my day job.
Now, how did your work as a filmmaker and or the movie industry in general influence your work as an author?
I would say, I mean, it definitely filmmaking is such a visual medium. So when you write a script, it's much different than a novel. You don't give a character's motivation that's in the dialogue, right? You don't, that's something for the director and the actor to figure out. You don't list every single thing that is on a set. You list only things of importance, and it's up to the production designer, the costume designer to find all that. So what's great about being a novelist is you get to fill in those gaps that you normally would leave out when writing a script. So it's made me a very visual, cinematic storyteller. Also, it's really just interesting the way that I kind of approach story. So I think every author has a different way they like to do it, where their first draft is, they like to just, they don't outline before, they just write a first draft and then kind of, let the story unfold. I write a very detailed draft that usually is just too long, too much information, too much plot, just a very, very big story. And I write everything. Any idea that I have, I barrel through, get my first draft, and then I take a look at everything almost like you would like an editor, right? When you're filmmaking, you shoot all the footage, you go into an editing suite on your computer, and you go, okay, how can I mold this? What do I cut? What do I use to tell the story? And that's how I approach novel writing is, okay, I've got my first draft, I've got all these parts, this is the equivalent of 600 pages. How do I get this down to that 300 to 350 page mark? What do I cut? What do I combine? How do I work for pacing? The character's motivation and all of that kind of moving forward. So I think that's how I was taught storytelling was through the film medium. That's translated into my novel writing.
Now, do you plan on writing more books?
I do, and I have. So I have an agent, and right now we are in the process of um, preparing my next submission for publishers.
Now, what are three books other than the one you've written that you'd recommend to someone who is considering reading your book, Breaking In?
Yeah, great question. So I would say, kind of from a wide gamut. So there's a lot of filmmaking references, pop culture references. If you are kind of a movie geek like I am, I think Ready Player One is a super fun book that translates well. It's like my book. It's a thriller. The plot moves based upon kind of pop culture knowledge, which Millie, my main character, uses her heist knowledge to pull off a real heist. I would recommend anything by William Boyle. He's fantastic. He's one of my favorite modern crime writers. So Shoot the Moonlight Out or City of Margins, I would check out because they are very cinematic in his details and has been a huge inspiration for me. And then a book that I was really surprised by how much I enjoyed was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which was the novelization of the movie written by Quentin Tarantino. So it kind of expands upon the movie, and there's a lot of scenes that either were cut from the script or just weren't involved, and you decided to add them. for the novel, but it's a really fun book, kind of set in that Hollywood world. Actors' egos get in the way, kind of that funny crime element, all stuff that Breaking In has.
Now, what is your favorite and least favorite aspect of living in Minneapolis?
I think my favorite aspect of Minneapolis is the culture, the diversity. It's just a very communal, strong community. There's a lot of pride here. I love my neighborhood. I love the parks that we have in our city. I guess you would say that my least favorite, winters can get long. I guess maybe just driving in snow, because I don't hate winter. The older I get, the more I really love winter, and I think that's because from a writing aspect, like when it's cold outside and it's -10 and full of snow, I'm not going to go out. I'd rather be inside with a cup of coffee writing. So it really is beneficial from a writing perspective, but there are definitely times where the snow can be a pain if you're trying to get somewhere.
Well, Tyler, that was my final question, and I thank you for appearing on the Heartland Author podcast.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. Thank you for having me.